Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another stream on the channel. Hope everyone's well. Tonight we're going to discuss on the late night whistle Bilal El Khannouss. El Khannouss accordingly wants out of Leicester City and he wants to go to Crystal Palace. So question mark now on his future. James Justin to Leeds looks very much in doubt. We're going to chat some other stuff, including Jeremy Monger and much more. Guys, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you haven't subscribed already, please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. Let's use in the chat before I bring the boys in. Where are you? I'm here, sorry. We're definitely doing that. We were actually discussing what's going to be on tonight's show. Moderators, hello, how are we? David Coos, Ross, Terry, Dan. Dan, we'll have to get you on at some point, mate. If you ever want to join, just click the link, we'll chat. Craig, via El Khannouss, well, that's where you made me. Evening, Frankie. How are we, mate? Hope you're well. I know the Leeds game's on, isn't it? It's 0-0 at the minute. Fair, I played in that one, but we're not here to do a watch along. We're here to talk about our football club. So, let's get the boys in. Reese, how are we, mate?
All right, mate. How are you?
That's probably going to fall down, but it's what it is. I'm good. Let's get Steve in. Steve, how are we, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself? I'm
all right. Hello, Paul. Have Crystal Palace actually bid yet? Well, they put a £20 million bid in, but Evening, hope you're good. Is Top having a fire sale, getting the cash in before he sells the club? It's a question we're going to probably answer, to be fair. I know someone was on about it yesterday about King Power, but boys, we're here to discuss the main title. Bilal El Khannouss wants Leicester City exit with a question mark. Ben Jacobs. Bilal El Khannouss has told Leicester City he wants to join Crystal Palace. Leicester want in the region of £30 million. El Khannouss's release clause now expired. They see him now as a replacement for Eberechi Eze. Sacha Taglieri has said that Crystal Palace now in advanced talks to sort of do a deal between Leicester and Palace. What is your thoughts on it, Reece, regarding Bilal El Khannouss?
It's a shame, of course. I mean, it's a crying shame, really, because he is probably our best player alongside Abdul. But at the end of the day, I'm not really one for, if someone wants to go, then they can go, really, So, but as long as we get the right money for him, a decent amount, not 20 bloody million, what's been reported. If we can get 30 million plus for him, like some add-ons or something, then, let him go, because at the end of the day, we're not in a...
The link's in the chat, Dan, if you want to click it, mate. Carry on.
That's all right. Like I said, as long as we get a reasonable fee for him, but hopefully we'll have a replacement lined up with that Portuguese midfielder. I think it was João Vigo, whatever his name is. But at the end of the day, if a player wants to go, he can go. And like I said, we need to sell for PSR reasons. So, but good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Steve, the cat's better than Luke Thomas.
You're muted, mate.
Go on here.
Sorry about that. Yeah. She's a nightmare. She sits underneath me when I'm with you and whatever, and she just meows for ages. I'm just like, shut up. Well, for me, El Khannouss, I mean, it's typical Leicester City to put a release clause in and then think, okay, well, now that it's expired, we'll accept less than the release clause. Like, who makes that decision apart from John Rudkin? Yeah, I'm a bit frustrated. Like, his performance on Saturday was poor. He got hooked at halftime, and maybe his head was turned at that point. My biggest issue is that, like, if he's requesting to leave now, he's not the player that we thought he was going to be. He's obviously not interested and he's looking after himself, which I understand. As a professional footballer, you need to look after yourself. That's you're a mercenary effectively. But it is frustrating to start seeing the players that you want to stay at the club leaving for cheaper than you expected them to go for. That's it's just really irritating.
Dan, welcome, mate. Hope you're good.
Thank you. Yeah,
Dan,
I'm good, thank you.
Talk to me about Bilal.
Nice.
Leicester paid £22 million for him a year ago. This time, I mean, the release clause was supposed to be £30 million. Leicester wanting the region of £26 million is what's being reported in the article here. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, Crystal Palace are interested. Bilal's name's been mentioned more than any other Leicester player this summer transfer window. Obviously, with the release clause, you have to pay the money up front, don't you? But without a release clause, you can pay it in instalments. What's your initial thoughts on the future of Bilal El Khannouss and wanting to leave Leicester City?
Well, the way I see it is that it's very, very difficult these days to believe everything that you see because so many things go on. He's not actually come out and said anything other than Saturday, which was poor, but it's been poor with many, not just him as an individual. So until somebody comes through with an actual concrete bid that we say as a club, that's not enough, that's not good enough. Like I say, it's been happening since the window opened that Bilal's going, and he's been almost prostituted out to literally anybody in the Premier League, and yet he had this alleged clause in his contract to go. Nobody came in then. The only bits that I can see with that is whether it was there was the release clause, but did the clubs have to pay like 90% of it straight off the bat, as opposed to them doing it in increments over his 5-year contract or whatever contract he may or may not get.
So this makes favourable terms for Palace at this point. Like, yes, you're right. With the release clause, they would have paid the majority up front and then little bits in installments. Whereas this one, it helps them spread it over so many years, which is great for them. Understandable. Like, I get why they do it, but it's just really frustrating for us because you think then we'll have a shit ton of money coming in, but actually we're not now. We're going to have part payments and
but Top will probably take a loan out like he has done on previous occasions to get the money in, and then we say, oh well, it'll be offset with the money that we get from whomever this club may be that Bilal ends up going to.
Reece, Leicester have been getting rid of players, haven't they? Matt Hermanson, Wilfred Ndidi's left, Connor Cody. It looked like James Justin was well and truly out the door until obviously the weekend. But with Bilal, Leicester obviously need to get players in. It's not all about selling, even though we have got a bloated squad. We still have to bring in a striker. How do you sort of see it regarding Leicester's transfer window with the money that they do potentially sell Bilal for?
I think the window's a pretty clear indication of what's going on in terms, because, look at the fees we're getting for these players. Matt Hermanson, is he worth 20 million? Absolutely not. He's worth way more than that. He's a £30 million goalkeeper, and we got 18 million for him. So, it just shows that we're desperate for cash, and these clubs know that, it's out there, and it's out there that we need money for PSR. And I talked to my mates about this earlier, and I was like, all this PSR. I was like, why do you think we didn't, we don't even know if we breached for last season. So that could be another reason why we're having to sell players as well. Why do you think we didn't spend any money in January? We could have been really, really tight then. And obviously Top came out in his programme notes saying PSR, we couldn't spend any money. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But, it's not so much, I can see what's going on. A lot of fans are fuming with the fees we're getting for these players. But at the end of the day, look at the situation we're in. Southampton can afford to reject 45 million quid for Tyler Dibbling. Hutchinson went for about, was it 35, 40 million to Nottingham Forest yesterday? because they ain't got PSR in the back. They can demand what they want for these players. So it's a clear indication where we are right now in terms of PSR. I'm hoping this season will be a good clear out, and then hopefully I think we can get some loans in maybe, because I can't see us spending any cash.
Do you know what I find frustrating about that? Sorry, Jack. Just as you were saying then, like for Top to come out. Well, okay, we hear reports that when the fans protested last season against the board, that Top and the board were very offended by what we were doing, and yet they're the ones that got us into this mess. They're the ones that we have to sell because of PSR. We didn't put them there. We didn't demand that they give players 150 grand a week, or I guess 70 grand for Harry Winks going up to 100 grand in the Premier League. That wasn't on us. So it's their own fault. So how can they sit there and be offended by the fact that we're protesting how they're running this club when it's entirely their fault?
Yes,
and what makes management. And what makes it worse, they voted for these rules as well. They voted for these PSR rules as well. So, they've only got themselves to blame, really. I think, obviously, I think it was obviously us going down was a big shock to the system. We had an 8th highest wage in the Premier League when we got relegated. So they weren't expecting relegation at all that season, even though we didn't sign many players apart from Wout Fast and we sold Fofana. But at the end of the day, you got yourself in this mess. You got to get yourself out of it now.
Dan, what do you think the answer is for this mess? Obviously, second relegation from the Premier League in succession. Players, some don't want to be here. You can tell by the attitude and the mentality of some of these players. You could clearly see it the weekend against Preston. Even Paul Gallagher and Steve Howard picked up on all of it the weekend. Yeah. The laziness, the thought they'd go to Preston and just turn them over like that, like they're nothing. And you then look at what happened at the end with obviously Hamza and having a back and forth with the fans are clearly not happy. Harry Winks walks down the tunnel. What is the answers?
Well, the easy answer as a fan is like what many say: get them gone, clear them all out. But that's not. It's just not viable. That's it. Like as we keep stating, what Steve said before, the club is at fault. They've handed out far too bigger contracts to massively underrated players. I don't even know or understand where they thought that there was the panic to give Harry Winks a 70 grand, 100 grand. Who else was going to take him? He'd been on loan to Sampdoria. They didn't take him. He was going to just sit in Spurs reserves. But yet again, panic goes on. What do? We need to get in this. We need to get that. And fair enough, they've done it. But they need to be sensible with what they hand out to these players and not be taken for a ride, because we're just not in that position. And I don't know whether, again, it's a case with Rudkin of where he's not accepting his faults and just keeps pressing on regardless until something works out, because at some point something will come good, or he's just completely so far out of his depth, he's being swallowed up, don't know what he's doing, and refusing to accept or ask for any help whatsoever. And Top just seems away with the fairies and allowing him to get on with it, and it all round they're just killing everything. But unfortunately for us, as we are at the minute, until we get rid of some of the higher earners, we then can't reset to bring in players on more reasonable contracts. And that's where I'm slightly skeptical of us sort of trying to bring in the likes of, Josh Brownhill and people like that, who, again, are going to want too much money, and they're going to go, well, we need this, we need that, so we'll pay it. And it's just not the answer. It really isn't. But I can see him doing it.
This is the only thing I'd sort of look at, Steve. The answer is to clear out. Yes, youth is the future, where a couple of key players brought in. Martin needs the tools to work with. He is frustrated. He said it's not going to be over a few days, weeks, months, whatever it is. It's a project that he's long term for. He even paid to come here, for God's sakes. That shows his commitment, and he's not the issue. It's the players that he's having to put up with at this moment in time, with players that are not happy to be here. You've got to move them on and clear them out, type of thing. But I know it's easier said than done in clearing these players out. Some have got a year left on the contract, haven't they, Steve? But how do you sort of see it with what Dan said?
Well, I agree. Like, you know, you can't. The problem is that the club's going to panic towards the end of the transfer window and will offer players high money because that's what we're like, unfortunately. I also agree that you can't blame Marty for this situation. He's 3 games into his managerial career at Leicester, and he's not been given the tools at his disposal, you know, to change the atmosphere at the club. You know, I said on Twitter earlier that it feels like game 40 of last season rather than game 2 of this season, because it's just a continuation, because we've got the same players making the same mistakes and not taking accountability again and again and again. And yeah, you're right. We've got players out of contract at the end of the season, and I don't think I can see maybe 3 or 4 of them leaving before the end of the window. I think Wout Faes will go towards the end of the window because that's where we're looking at now. I said at the very beginning of the summer we'll be last week of the transfer window club making moves, and we'll see a lot of people going out as well. And come the 2nd of September, that's when either the fans will be happy because we've brought in players and we've made changes and it'll be a fresh start, or it's going to get very, very toxic very, very quickly, and more quickly than it was on Saturday. You know, so my main concern is that if Marty doesn't get the backing he needs and he deserves, and the results don't go their way, he's the first one out the door. When that shouldn't be the case. You know, if he's here long term, we should be backing him over players. And the player power at the club was a big issue for a very long time. And a lot of those players have gone now. And it's time to get the rest of them out. Restart again. Drain the swamp, as I keep saying, because that's what it is. And bring the wage budget down to a more manageable level where PSR doesn't actually factor in as much as it has. You know, it will this season for sure, because we've still got 90 million on one of the accounts come the end of the season that will drop out next year. But next year, if we get rid of all of these players that are leaving on free transfers or get any money for them now, then great. Our balance sheet will look a lot better. But you can't tell me if these players that are out of contract come the end of the season, if John Rudkin puts a big contract in front of them, do you think they'll sign it? I think they would. Why would they care?
Absolutely.
Of course you would. That's what they've been doing. Best of God didn't turn down a 3-year deal, did it?
Exactly.
No, exactly. So that's the issue. You know, it's a continuation and a cycle of mismanagement.
Mismanagement, yeah.
Yeah, and handing out contracts to players that don't deserve that money in the Premier League, let alone the Championship. Yeah. And they just don't care. You know, Harry Winks, for all I care, I will piggyback him from fucking London up to Sunderland to get rid of him. Right? I'll chuck him in the sea. I said before about Wout Faes, I wish his car rolled into the fucking sea from the cliff. Like, these people, they don't give a shit about the people that go to games. You know, 4 hours it took me to get to Preston on Saturday because of the road closure. It took me 3 hours to get back. I wasted 7 hours of my day, and the ticket, the food that I paid for, you know, so you're looking at sort of 60, 70 quid total for the day. When actually, I'd have been better off sitting at home watching it on the TV and then going, you know, down the pub. But it's just, you know, but that's unfortunately, that is the fan life, isn't it? You know, we're always going to follow the club. We're always going to love the club.
Of course.
And through all of this shit, we are the ones that are still going to be here in 10 years' time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I agree.
No. That's it. They're only here until the contract expires, and they've squeezed as much as they possibly can out of the club.
That's why they won't move on, because no one's going to pay them the money that we're paying them at the minute.
Absolutely not.
Who else have we got in there at the minute?
James Justin. I mean, he might not go now because of his injury, and you know he was terrible against Huddersfield. Terrible again. No, did he play against Huddersfield? He was shit against Sheffield Wednesday.
The thing is with that, Sean, is that comment is the managers always get the blame. Most of the time, more than not. It's not. It's the problem. It's always the manager.
And we can all see that. We can all see that this isn't the manager's issue. Like last season, you could blame Cooper for bringing in the players that he brought in because he wanted experience and that's his fault. As much as Ruud van Nistelrooy was out of his depth last year, I can't really blame him for how he started and how he finished. Because, he didn't get backed in January. So why the fuck would he give a shit? You knew he was going to get sacked this summer. You can keep the rotation of bringing in new managers and sacking managers, which also doesn't help towards PSL when you have to give a manager £2 or £3 million every season.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get a philosophy or players that come in and want to play for a manager if you keep replacing him. We've got a squad that was Brendan Rodgers still. Yeah. It's just, it blows my mind how bad we have been mismanaged.
Well,
I'd get sacked. If this was me at my job, I'd be straight out the door if I was doing this sort of shit.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Will says Preston's new team scored Leicester at times. The result was no fluke. Preston was just better. They were better. They wanted it more than Leicester City did. Leicester didn't turn up.
Yeah. Again. Oh, and fuck Daniel Everson for making that save against Fatawu, the little prick. Where the fuck was that?
Do you know what? We'd have probably kept Everson, to be fair. He's a good goalkeeper for the Championship. This is what Leicester's problem is. You look at Victor Johansson. We let him go out the academy and look how good he is.
Didn't get a lot for him, did we? And now look at him. He's a very good Championship goalkeeper that was linked to Premier League club.
There's no strategy. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. Evening, Daz. How are we, mate? I'll tell you what, let's get Ross in. Ross, you're going to become the fifth man of the Fantastic Five, should we call it tonight?
I'm the fifth member.
There's a bit of COVID distance in between you and Dan, so
Well, I mean, to be honest, he had to suffer with me for 90 minutes, and that's bad enough. Whoever sits next to me.
He just there you go. You put you next to each other again.
Yes, Dan. To be fair, me and Dan were trying to get the crowd going.
Dan,
some of it.
Dan,
sorry, Steve. Steve. Oh,
my name changed.
I was going to say, I weren't there Saturday.
Sorry, me and Steve, we did everything to get that crowd going, and obviously, it just felt very flat at times. I think. But me and Steve were just belting it out, built each other out. But
I'm curious. We have played some players we're just selling. I hope we keep El Khannouss. I don't see Bilal staying. I physically don't know. I think they will pay the money for him. We'll probably get low blow by it, as to say, like we did with Matt Hermanson. We didn't get the money we wanted. We ended up having to go lower, and it worked out to be lower than we wanted.
And he got screwed over again, didn't he? He's clearly been screwed again by a different person. Where West Ham went to a different club, put it for him, and then came back to Leicester and went, "Oh, would you accept this instead? We've got this other guy." It's going to happen with El Khannouss as well. They're going to go to that guy at Genk and be like, "Oh, well, we've offered for this. Do you want to accept this?" And you're like, Rookie's like, "Yeah, no. We'll take we'll give us the money. It's fine."
Let me put something to you, Steve. This bloke, Christos Tzolis, who obviously played for Norwich, do you kind of think that the agent of, obviously, whatever it is, Matt Hermanson's situation came like this, didn't it? Where they was going to sign John Victor, and then Leicester thought, shit, we're gonna lose money here. Do you think this is the type of situation again where they're sort of saying we're going to look at Tzolis, get the media to put out whatever, so they make sure they get their man in Leicester start panicking again for money?
Yeah, it's a smokescreen, and it works every time. It's like he's got a pair of keys and he's jangling in front of John Wilkins' face, and then he hides them, and John goes, oh, and then they appear in his friend, and he's like,
It's definitely been turned like Love Island. I'm telling you, Craig.
It's so frustrating to have a director of football that is so easily hoodwinked. How did he get a job? I have no idea.
I mean, the thing is, who hired him?
I mean, his academy roles at the club would probably say, okay, then we brought you Andy Kings through, players like that over them years when you were at the academy. Fair play, okay, fair enough. You got to take little credit for bringing these youngsters again. But when it comes to the real dealing, John, that's where you're slacking, my friend. And I was delighted I'm encouraged by Marty. He uses the young talents like Page and Nelson. Dan, what's your thoughts on Marty?
Well, it's too early to say, really, at the minute. I liked how he's progressed things in pre-season, but as we all know, pre-season to the real thing is two completely different games. And as we're finding out, I mean, there's no players don't want to put, or teams don't want to put each other under real serious pressure in pre-season. So it looked great, got us all excited. Thought, okay, so we'll see. But like what's been mentioned before, I'm not worried about it right now. He will get there. Unfortunately, he's in a dressing room of not poor players, because they're not poor players. It's sometimes what does annoy me. They're not poor players. They're just performing poorly for whatever reason it is. For whatever reason that they're had enough of. Half of this is their own doing because they've not performed. So it's difficult to call how Marty's doing until he gets some of his own players in and they conform to how he really wants to play. Because at the minute, we look at it, he's got no midfield really. He's tried a couple of different options and none of them are good enough at this moment in time and can do the job that he needs them to do. You got Skip, who presses but runs around like headless chicken, but can't pass, can't shoot, can't tackle. Booba, the most frustrating Leicester City player I've ever seen in my life, because he has ability. You can see he has ability. He just can't be asked. Basically, that's it. And Winks has got the ump. So what can he do? I know people say about using the youth players. My worry with that is that they're not ready to do a 40-odd game season. They just can't do that. They're not physically ready. Exactly.
Yeah. You say
physically
that
ready to do that.
You say that, but then you say that, but our best player at the minute is a 16-year-old who's come through the academy.
Yes,
yeah, but that's 3 games in.
Yeah,
true. But at the minute,
talk to me about it in 30 games.
I will.
And if he's still there,
no, he will be still there because he can't leave for at least a year.
No, I mean as in
physically
still being our best player. Yeah. When it does take your toll, and he will now, especially after Saturday and what he done to their fullback in half hour, he's going to be harder to play, or they're going to be harder on him playing against him. At the minute, like what our players are, a little bit arrogant towards him. Wow. Oh, he's 16,
Do you know what?
I'll out-muscle him, I'll out-strengthen him. He won't do this, he won't do that. And then he goes and does it. And
I can't remember if it was you, Jack, that said it last night, or Steve that said it last night, about some players might be jealous of Monga.
I think it was me.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember if it was you or Steve. I can't remember who said it.
I debated it, and I said to Steve, is this what you think it is? And Steve turned around and said, yeah, because he's doing something they aren't. And is this what it is? You've got a young kid coming through who's thriving at he's chomping at the bit because he wants to be the best. And you've got a squad around him who's not helping him. He's having to do everything himself because everything's just flat. Ross,
not to celebrate the boys' first ever goal in his career in senior men's football. Three of his own teammates basically turned their back on him, and only 2 went and congratulated him.
And that was Fatawu and Faz.
Yeah,
we give Faz a lot of shit, but to be fair, he was congratulating him, saying "Well done, mate" and stuff like that. So,
Ross.
Yeah,
I want to put some out of what Paul Gallagher said. Paul Gallagher, he was on the radio station at the weekend for BBC Lancashire. He had spoke to Leicestershire Live after the game, I believe. So he said if he was still in the Leicester City dressing room, he would be asking questions of his teammates after such a poor display. The game swung when young lad Jeremy Monga came on, he added. He's a homegrown player and you can tell he cares about this football club and wants to do well. Whereas some of the players, I'd be questioning them, even as a player myself in the dressing room. I'd be asking them, do you really want to be here? And that's coming from an ex-player, Ross, who watched it. And he said, I quote, laziness at the weekend. Watched them through the training drill and that, and he said it's just laziness. They couldn't be bothered.
Do you know what? Paul Gallagher.
A walk in the park.
Paul Gallagher has said that absolutely perfect. You know, he can say that as a former player. You know, we never saw laziness off Paul Gallagher. Every time he played for us, he gave 110%. So if anyone that tries to have a go at him, shut up. But end of the day, well, just saying, he always gave it his best.
Go on.
You know, he always gave it his best. And goals are insane. The penalties. Let's be honest, we've all tried to do a Paul Gallagher penalty. Let's be honest, we've all tried it, and it just doesn't go down so well. So anyway,
absolutely. Speak for yourself.
What?
I'm great at Paul Gallagher penalties. If I miss it, it's fine. But
okay, then, Steve. Next time you're on a football pitch, I want you to take a video of yourself doing the Paul Gallagher penalty.
Was it?
Well, he was in the youth academy.
He's still come through the academy, though. He's still doing it.
Well, yeah, I agree. Laziness, you know, Harry Winks. You know, I said this on earlier on with Locks. I said either Harry Winks was going for a shit or he doesn't give a shit. Because, you know, in the day, all the players that came over, we were, you know, some of them were giving sticks, some of them were clapping.
He pulled them over, by the way.
Yeah, Hamza did. Marty was stood there.
He got them all over, and then something got said between Hamza and a fan is what.
Yeah. But Marty stood there and he was clapping.
Yeah.
Marty stood there, was clapping.
Well, like rude, Steve, running down the tunnel, mate, when we're losing games and not bothering with the fans at full time. That shows a lot, doesn't it?
You can get
this is the problem when you have a bad game, when you play crap and you know you play crap, you still go over and appreciate the fans. You know, well, it doesn't matter if they're booing you, cheering you, you're not fit to wear the shirt. They've travelled down, but you said then, Steve, it took you an all-round trip. 7 hours was it? All round,
and 4 hours on Wednesday as well. So
so obviously Jack, I was on ahead. Same with me. I set off at 6:30 that morning to get to Preston. I got there early. I had my jacket spud, which was amazing. That was probably the highlight of the day, if I'm honest with you.
Right, I got some news for you. Right, Crystal Palace have close to appointing a new director of football, a sporting director, Matt.
Is it John Rudkin?
Well, if Rudkin were doing his job, he'd be a better team by now. But
Can you imagine that if happened?
Talking about Marty, I'm going to come to you, Reese. Marty Cifuentes on the booze at the weekend in the chants. Marty says they have a right to be disappointed if we lose. Otherwise, why are you fans? They need to be happy when we win games and upset when we don't. It's totally fair. We didn't play a great game of football, so there's no problem about that. That's Marty's report back to the fans. I know Abdul was a bit upset about it the weekend with his statement and what he said about he wasn't happy. He just wanted the fans to be more supportive and that. But Marty's sort of in the other camp and said, okay, well, I understand the fans' frustration, the upsetness and that, and the fans have a right to voice their opinion.
Yeah, he's spot on. I mean, he's been a fan himself. He grew up as a Barcelona season ticket holder, so he knows what it's like to be a fan. So, but that's him basically just saying, stop whinging, shut the fuck up, and get on with your job. So I think it's good PR though. It's a good way of getting the fans on your side as well. So I think it's quite a clever move. But I think he means it as well, to be fair. So, but no, I completely agree with him. So, like I said, I just hope that the fans don't turn on him so quick because I do think we've got a good manager here. Really do. I do think
this is Leicester City fans you're talking about here, Reese.
I
was there on Saturday, and like I said, 25 minutes in, 200, 300 and we're down in the concourse.
Well, I mean, is that the manager's fault?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that some fans can turn really quick. That's not just with Leicester. That's with any club. People want that. Sheffield United want that Ruben Sellers after 2 games. Some fans want him out.
Even he's called that. As well.
That's what I hate about modern.
The transfer business.
It's what I hate about modern football fans. 2 or 3 games in, you want a manager gone, and I understand, you know, in our situation, we're dealing with the same shit. I get it, but don't turn on the manager. He's what, you know, we've got a different manager, but what's the common factor? We've got the same players on high wages, you know. So, and they don't give a shit. So
what do you do in theatre, Reese, when you don't like a show, mate? You boo, don't you? If you don't like something in the show.
You what, mate? Sorry, it keeps cutting out. What'd you say?
I said, in theatre, if you don't like something and you're watching it and you don't enjoy whatever that scene is, you boo, don't you? You say, I don't. You know, it's rubbish.
Well, I don't really go to shows, but
well, I don't either. But that's what generally happens.
Or you get up and walk out.
Dan will know about it because he obviously watches it. So, Dan, I'm going to come back to you actually with Marty. I'm aware of the task in hand I have on my hands. It's not going to be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. We need to change the dynamic that has unfortunately been there for too long. That's not an excuse, it's awareness. So the manager knows what needs to be changed. It's the mentality of the players, which is I think he's definitely sort of pointed at.
Absolutely. Like we've said already, you know, it's not stupid. He knew what he was walking into, you know, whether it's believed to be true or not. He's sacrificed money to be here. So he's not gone into it light-hearted thinking, look at what I've got to work with, this should be a breeze. He's gone, there's serious problems here, but I'm prepared to take this challenge on, I'm up for it, which again is something that we've not had in sort of quite some time. So I admire what he's doing. Unfortunately, things that are going on away from the field of play is what is hampering, pissing people off.
Yeah.
For what we're trying to achieve. And like what we're going back to saying about this is Leicester City fans, we're not the most patient bunch. And we're not. I mean, look when Martin O'Neill turned up and 4 or 5 games in, we're smashing chairs up in our own ground, chucking them about because we've had enough of him after 4 games. And look what he went and done.
Can I just say, Dan, do you know if social media was around in 1995, 1996, Martin O'Neill would have gone in about 10 games.
Dan, were you there on that Sheffield United game when that wrapped?
Yeah.
My dad was there when it happened as well.
I was.
Yeah. Talks about that game.
Wasn't that Muzzy Izzet's debut?
I don't.
I swear that was Muzzy Izzet's debut against Sheffield United when we lost.
I'm not going to say it wasn't, because if I'm being honest, I can't remember that far back. All of that sort of stuff.
Steve's googling it right now.
Yours and Reese's I've seemed to have a better recollection of those sorts of things, and you're quite a bit younger than me as well. So
I'm 32. I do know some stuff. So
well, that's it. So, but I can't. Like I say, I can't remember whether it was his debut or not. I know he was there, but I can't remember whether it was his debut or not.
Steve.
But still, yeah. But in regards with Marty, we just need to be patient, and unfortunately, it's going to be tough until the 1st of September comes, or whatever day it is, when we know where we are. I just like what keeps being said. Just want the transfer window done and dusted. Yeah. Even if it's the first week of the Premier League season and not any others. It's done. You know what you've got. That's your playing squad. Get on with it.
Well, they had that, didn't they? They brought it in a couple of years ago, and it was the best thing ever. When they did the transfer window before the season shut.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't stick to that. I thought that was perfect.
I can tell you why.
Because the rest of Europe didn't fall in line.
Yeah, if you don't have the rest of Europe falling in line, then their best players get picked off and they can't replace them. So
that's it.
Premier League won't vote for Christmas. They're not turkeys, unfortunately.
No. Well, they're a bunch of pricks, but yeah.
Steve, I'm going to come to you with this one. More Frankie says, I thought the club did character profiles on these players before they signed them, like get a general overview of their character. I know they did it with Riyad Mahrez, didn't they, under Nigel Pearson, which were good to see. But you touch on with Bilal now. How much realistically now do you see us getting for him? Is he? You sort of looked at it the other day and said he ain't going to be a Leicester player by September the 1st.
Yeah. I think
Do you still stick with that?
Yeah, realistically, you're looking between 26 and 30. So I would say about 28 at most. With add-ons included. It's the Leicester way to undervalue players when it comes to selling them. Unfortunately, we're very good at getting rid of players that have potential, but we're not very good at getting rid of players that are stinking out the place and on long contracts. Unfortunately,
yeah.
But yeah, I can't see him being a Leicester player come the end of the season because, the end of the transfer window, because clearly it looks like he wants to go. That's not me saying that he's come out and said anything because nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors.
It looks like his head's been turned from the performance.
Yeah. And there's a lot of agent talks that go to the media, and Ben Jacobs is actually a very well in the know sort of character in football. He knows quite a lot. So look, at the end of the day, if he goes, he goes. There's a cycle in football. Players come, players go.
Yeah,
as long as we can bring money in and actually spend money to refresh the side, then great. But the issue there is that have we got? Are we so much in a black hole financially that we can't spend any money still, even with 60-odd million coming in? No, it'll be nearly 70 with this, won't it? So, yeah.
Boys,
and the wages save.
Boys, what's your thoughts for the week? Well, actually, I'm going to get a score prediction from you all for Charlton. Jay's asked it, by the way. I can't physically say and think a bit this time. I'd like to say we are going to win the game, but Charlton are going to look at Leicester, how they played against Preston, and think, we can get at them here. So they'll make it tough. Steve, if you had to sort of pick a prediction now for Leicester against Charlton, what would you sort of say on it?
So this isn't my final prediction. You'll have to hear that on Thursday when we do the predictions show. But if he doesn't make changes and he still goes with a midfield of Harry Winks and Samare, I genuinely think that we could we'd lose the game. I think we're that poor at the moment that one long ball over the top and they can get through quite easily. If he makes changes, I'd like to think we'd go for a win, but now, if I would say a 1-1 draw. And
we've got some breaking news from John Percy. Final whistle. Could you collaborate on that one?
Right. Okay. John Percy is saying that Bilal El Khannouss has attracted interest from Crystal Palace, Newcastle United, and Leeds United, and Sunderland this window. And Leicester are demanding a fee over £30 million for Bilal El Khannouss. The Moroccan international's release clause expired last week, and Leicester can demand a price they feel is acceptable. That's what he said.
Good.
Yeah.
So this puts the £26 million fee to bed, sort of thing, with what John Percy is saying.
That didn't make sense. This whole thing about Leicester want 26. Leicester want 26 million. It doesn't make sense from a business point of view. So all these journalists saying, we want 25 million. It's a load of bullshit. It doesn't make sense.
Do you know what the best part is? We've once again got breaking news on the live final late night whistle. Once again.
Yeah, John Percy tweeted about 30 seconds ago.
Cheers, John.
Thanks, John, mate. Yeah, thanks for opening the clarification.
I agree with you, Reese. Like, what we want, financially, and what we'll actually get are completely different things in this situation. So it's all well and good, sort of Ben Jacobs or John Percy or whoever spouting numbers at people, but we won't get that.
No,
we crumble, and we'll probably end up with 26 to 28 million pounds, and that'll be it. So it's it's for the.
It'd be like do you know it'd be like a quick sell at Primark, where something's got everything must go, or when a shop closes down, everything must go. It's kind of like something on offer. I think it'll be something like that, So don't be surprised if it's like 25, 26 million pounds. Just don't be surprised. Nothing surprises me.
If it was 12 million pounds, let's be honest, it's Leicester City. This is what we do.
Well, back in the day, this is the same Leicester City that let Max Gradle go for £150,000. I know that this is going back a bit, but Max Gradle was one of my favourite youth players coming through at the time. And what a baller he was. And then we sold him for 150 grand.
That goal at MK Dons, by the way.
Milton Keynes, the front, yeah.
The 4 clubs bidding was £60 million.
But also, this is the Leicester City that managed to get £80 million from Maguire and £75 million.
Hey, boys! If these 4 teams are actually
bidding war,
wanting to bid, Sunderland, Leeds.
Lads, can I just say, we are one of the tightest clubs when it comes to like in the past. In the past, when we've got money for Fofana, we dragged every penny we could out of Chelsea. We dragged every penny we could for Man U, Riyad Mahrez, Ben Chilwell, all these players. Do you not think if we weren't under PSR regulation, we'd be demanding these low fees for these players? Not a chance.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I've said this a few times over the years. So do you know when the Maguire situation? So do you know if Sir Alex Ferguson was still the manager, he would have gone within a day or two of Man U being interested. Yeah. Within a day or two, but we dragged it out. I remember the media were proper disrespectful on Leicester, saying it was either Man City or Man U going after him, and I were absolutely fuming. Then the I'm not gonna name them because they're scumbags, but the media put on about apparently Maguire shook hands with Vichai before he passed away and stuff. Put it this way, it's opposite of the Moon and the scumbags. You know what I'm talking about. But put it this way, Merseyside hate him. And I thought that the post like that was so disrespectful. I thought, how do you know that they shook hands and stuff? And honestly, I was actually boiling and stuff like that. And we dragged it out.
Situation now, Ross.
Well, unfortunately, if you're not part of the Premier League Big Six, you are going to get that sort of shit. Do you think they tweet stuff like that about Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool? It doesn't happen. But because we had a player in demand and we wanted a high fee for him, of course they're going to be disrespectful. Oh, Leicester should let him go.
I think it's when they were disrespected when they mentioned our late chairman. I think that's what really made my blood boil.
Yeah, I know. But I think they've done that with if that would have happened to West Ham or Bournemouth or any of these other, they'd do the same thing because it's not a Premier League Big Six club. They'd do anything to try and get these players to these big clubs. It's a fact.
That's true, and this is why Jamie Vardy was a great loyalty man to the club because he got offered more money at Arsenal, a chance to be one of their, at Arsenal. It's a massive club. No matter how much we think of them, they are a massive club, and he turned him down, which was it will always be thankful for that.
You say that, but we mean Leicester gave him an outrageous contract to keep him at the club, so. Yes, there is loyalty, and he stayed after that. But he was happy in Leicester. He just bought land to build a house on in Leicester. So if Leicester came in and said, "Yeah, we'll match what Arsenal are giving you," or more than that, of course he was going to stay. And you can't tell me that if Leicester said, "No, we can't match that offer," he would have stayed at the club at the time because we're talking about Jamie Vardy 10, 12, 14 years later or whatever. Jamie Vardy at the time, who's just won a Premier League. Yes, he showed a bit of loyalty to Leicester, but you can't say that if we weren't offering that money, he would have stayed.
That's true, and I mean,
there's over 2020, isn't it? So
there's over in times where we missed out on getting players. You talk about players coming in, we missed out on Adam Lookman. Now look at what he's done. Now he only won the Europa League. He absolutely tore Bayern Leverkusen a new arsehole. In fact, they've had to stitch it up.
Why was
he's
that,
been
Pardon? Why wasn't it? Why did we miss out on him?
Because
we're sailing too close to PSR again.
There you go.
I mean, do you know what? We all slate Brendan, right, on stuff, but he was right on what he's saying when about a rebuild and stuff like that. Now we all slaughtered him.
No, he was the one that brought these players in. Him and his scouting director.
He was the one who brought Bertrand and Vestergaard to the club.
That wasn't the club. The
Chuckle Brothers, as we like to call them.
Ian, whatever his name was, that they came in and said, we want to bring our own players in and, take over the scouting network. And we offered players that didn't deserve the money they had, these long contracts under Brendan, because they were the one that was sorting it out.
Do you think Brendan offered that sort of money? Do you think Brendan would have control over what money he could give us?
No, but the fact that he said I
Morgan
want,
was good,
you
yeah.
know,
No.
Vestergaard, and he came in, and within 6 months he was out, you know, out of favour again. That's on Brendan Rodgers. That's not.
I tell you, that comment just then, the start of our downfall, and I've said this loads of times, was the moment Kasper Schmeichel left Leicester. That was the start of the complete downfall. Or
I disagree.
It was
The dressing room, you mean?
Well, to me, I think the downfall started and everything was when we didn't reach Europe. In that you know, the year we got to the semi-finals of the Europa Conference. When
Casper's time was up at the
I
top.
want the boys to elaborate on what Ross has just said.
What? Which bit?
Do any of you agree with what Ross has just said? If not,
No,
then...
it
But
was
it depends on what you mean by it. Do you mean
Meaning-
of the loss of the dressing room? Because financially, which is where our biggest issue is, from the likes of Lee Congerton, who came in with Rodgers, who took over everything.
Yeah, Lee. That was not Ian.
Handed out some of these ridiculous contracts, like Ryan Bertrand allegedly on 120 grand a week. I mean, who's authorised that?
I swear, like 70K, Rod.
Yeah. But what I meant by is
he done a podcast. He done a podcast and he said that the highest he ever earned was 120 grand. Now you're not telling me he's getting that at Chelsea or Southampton.
No, because he said what he was on at Southampton and Chelsea.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
it was Leicester.
He made it quite clear who gave him it.
120
without saying the club, he made it quite clear.
What I mean,
between the lines.
What I'm saying is, I don't mean forget the money, forget that. The actual leadership in the dressing room.
In the dressing room,
This is what I'm saying. So we didn't get Europe. That was bad, you know. And because the problem is we have never replaced Kasper Schmeichel. You know, let's be honest. If Kasper Schmeichel was still at our football club right now, or at least that season, we would not. We would not. I mean, no. I think it was after the FA Cup.
We lost our way a bit in the sort of philosophy we were going about things. We'd sort of gone off the road.
We have two opportunities to kick on: winning the Premier League and win the FA Cup, and we failed both times.
I fall back on the thing that fucked us the most was the break during the first COVID lockdown. We were flying before that happened.
Yeah.
And we came back and we were the slowest team to come back to fitness. And we just didn't. That was the pebble rolling down the hill. It was the very start of the pebble, and then since then it's been the decline since, because we decided that we weren't going to sell a big player one season, and that was because of the decline. And then we thought we'd do better, and then we gave the players the long contracts. So,
I agree on that one. And then if you think about it, we've never replaced Kasper Schmeichel. He left. We brought Danny. This is what frustrates me.
So the thing is, Ross, is that I agree in not replacing Kasper in regards to being a leadership at the club. But as Reece said, his time at the club was done. I've heard a lot of stories that he rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way in the last couple of years before he left, and there were not people happy with him at the club. He had a falling out with some people, and yes, we didn't replace his leadership, but there was enough in that squad.
There was.
That we should have been relegated. And we can blame Danny Ward as much as we want, but you have to remember that there are defenders in front of Danny Ward. The goalkeeper can only do so much. Even though he's terrible as a player, he can only do so much as a goalkeeper. If you face 30 shots a game, how many are you expected to save? 5, 6, 10?
Yeah, exactly.
And also, why was that was the season where PSR kicked in, so why couldn't we replace Kasper? Because we had PSR over our
this is the thing. This is the thing.
Why is it we couldn't spend all that money when Wesley Fofana left and we only bought Wout Fassing? Because we struggled with PSR. There were a lot going on.
Exactly.
We were in the shit then. That's when it all crumbled.
And we sold him for 75 million. We sold him for 75 million. That's how much in the shit we were.
75 million we spent.
I mean, let's be honest, we went from 8th to 18th. I mean, it was a very dramatic decline.
No one expected Leicester City to go down that season.
So that season was the perfect storm of a lot of issues. So if you take into account the fact we couldn't replace players, we had several big earners that were out of contract that didn't want to get injured towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
We didn't bring in any quality in January that actually helped push the squad forward. And the World Cup happened.
Tete.
No, we were outstanding in the last 4 or 5 games. Yeah, like the last 4 games before the World Cup, we turned things around. We were winning games and we looked pretty good.
Yes.
The World Cup happened, and again, the same thing with COVID. We came back very slow against Liverpool.
Yeah.
We got the 2 own goals with Belfast, and confidence just went downhill from there.
Can I just say, I think we played better when there was no fans. I know this is going to sound very controversial.
Well, clearly not, because we lost out on Champions League football.
No, the year we won the FA. No, saying the year we won the FA Cup. If you think about it, we lost that on the last game of the season with fans in. That season, we were flying.
Of the FA Cup win, though, it was always going to happen.
That's not the fault. You can't blame them for not finishing Champions League football.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, it's just that when there was no fans in the stadium, you think about it. We destroyed Man City 5-2. We beat Manchester United at Old Trafford for the first time since Tony Cottee in 1998.
We still ended up beating these teams with fans in the stadium.
The season before, when we were on that mad run, we were second in the league. And we were in front of fans then. That was before COVID. That was the best we played. Yeah. That was the best football I've ever seen a Leicester City side play.
Ross is telling us we're a jinx, isn't it? Ross, maybe you're the jinx, isn't it? Maybe they lost me Champions League football because you weren't at the stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, bloody hell, Jack.
I think, like what was said, we had a perfect storm of where we had a disinterested manager.
Yeah.
After all came in, money was sailing close to the wind with PSR, so we couldn't let him go because yet again we panicked as a club, gave him a £10 million contract.
Yeah, 10 million to keep him when Arsenal
which was never. He's never ever worth. Not really many managers are worth that sort of money.
Wasn't it a 5-year deal?
Let alone for Leicester to pay out for it, something like that. Yeah. So we caused yet again through sheer panic of not just going, okay, you go, we'll replace, we'll work it out, because that's what clubs should be doing and do.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, well, we do know the reason. We had a guy in charge who was out of his depth, doesn't know what he was doing, still the same person, making the same decisions, chucking money about left, right, and centre because it ain't his money, so he doesn't really care. It clearly must be the case with that.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. We're sort of about Brendan, yeah.
No, I'm on about John Rudkin.
Oh, Rudkin's fan.
That was the start of our downfall.
He thought he was going to lose Rodgers, panicked, gave him this huge contract that we couldn't afford.
That was the start of the downfall, Dan. Absolute facts, mate. Giving him a 5-year contract on stupid wages. As soon as I seen that, I thought that's
maybe the 2022 was the start of it.
The fridge.
Yeah.
Losing
instead of going.
Let's
just calm down. They're decent. They are.
Tesco's.
Other shops are available.
That's it.
No, when we lost to Forest, do you know what? You look at that team that we had.
Want to know? More
control. That season we went down. Take out the goalkeeper. You had Maddison, Tielemans. They were a great duo at one point. Castagna,
Bobby Barnes, Wilfred Ndidi.
Do you know what? Vardy only scored 3 goals that season.
But he was injured for a fair amount of it, wasn't he?
Some of them players even down-tooled that season.
I would say Tielemans definitely down-tooled. I think Maddison.
Tielemans down-tools. There was Daniel Amati. He played. It was terrible. You know
was our top scorer that season.
Barnes.
You know what top scorer was? Harvey Barnes. Yeah.
Vardy only got 3. Do you know what? Though? I look at him. Vardy played every game but 1, and most of them he came off the bench.
Well, not the season we needed. What was it? The season before we needed 1 win in 10 games, and then we drew against Southampton with 10 men. 10 men. Southampton.
Yeah. That was in the COVID season. Yeah. The COVID season. But
that was
You know what fucked us the most? So Maddison was on fire before he went to the World Cup. He went and didn't play a single fucking minute because he was injured.
Yeah.
If he didn't go to the World Cup, he would have come back and he would have had that time to relax.
Been treated.
Yeah, exactly. And,
he did.
So it was the perfect storm of things going wrong. That won't happen again. You know, you won't see a team that of the 6th highest wage bill get relegated again because, you know, we shouldn't have gone down, but we did.
No.
And the only thing you can say about that is shit happens. Now deal with the consequences, and we didn't deal with the consequences.
No,
the same people are still at the club that were there during the. Okay, look, I'll give Rudkin his dues. Right, I'm not somebody that will just be negative. He was the director of football in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
So he oversaw that transfer window with Steve, bringing Kante and Okazaki and those.
I'd still put that down to Walsh, really.
Yeah, but he was one that was still negotiating the contracts. Now he did put a stupid release clause in for Kante, but then he wouldn't sign otherwise if it wasn't there. He did bring in some good players. Like Yuri Tillemans was a good signing for the club. Madison was a good signing. Castagna was a decent signing.
Yeah.
The issue is that, yes, he's done some positive. And we heard Graham Brock at the weekend say, like, you know, you can't give the negative without the positive. He has done some good for the club. But for the last 4 years, he hasn't done anything that I can see that is a positive for this football club.
And he's made the same mistake time and time again.
Exactly. And look, I think...
Go on, Steve. Go on.
I was going to say, we can shit on Rudkin as much as we like because he's the front-facing person of the club that is in a role that can be replaced, other than the manager.
Yeah, he is replaceable easily.
The perfect time at Leicester in terms of in the board was when Vichar was alive. He kept everyone in their place. He was a clear leader. He says, "No, this is your fucking job. You stick to it." Whereas Top is giving Rudkin more power. That's where it's gone wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, like you just said,
the player power was a big issue during that season as well.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed.
The reason why Cooper got sacked is because they were going above the manager to the owner. You know, that can't happen at a football club.
Then that never happened.
It didn't happen with Vichar. No.
None of it happens with Vichar. I say, shut the fuck up, get on with your job, I pay your wages.
Exactly. Vichar never allowed that type of thing to happen. He's like, well, you can do your job, but I put you in a role too. They were two people under him.
I signed the books.
Susan Whelan was Susan Whelan the right hand? Or what? They call it a right hand. She was his right hand woman who he brought in, Whelan, at the very start. And she was the woman he went to and said, well, all right, Susan. See, Susan Whelan was the woman who did the Fofana transfer, the Harry Maguire transfer.
Yeah.
And if you look at what she hasn't done and the others have done, you can see where the mistakes have led up. If Susan Whelan were like doing all these transfers, maybe she would have got the money for these players. Because we've left it to somebody else who can't do that type of thing, we're in a struggle.
I nearly said something terrible then. You just got a tit sound say, give me more money.
Well, I wouldn't say we got battered, but we weren't good and
you lot deserved.
Well done, Luke. You beat us. It's not hard. We got beaten by Huddersfield, mate. You know, we lost quite a lot last season.
I'll give you credit where it's due, Luke. I will. Happily. We were shit. You were the better team. Exactly. It's as spin as that.
Yeah. I've got a soft spot for Preston. I quite like Preston as a football club. So
I like your potatoes, mate. But
I'm just looking on Rudkin now. I've just got a quick Google search. He became our academy coach in 1998.
Right.
And he became our academy manager on the 1st of July 2003, a role he would maintain until December 13th, 2014. Believe it or not, he's actually been a caretaker manager for Leicester, believe it or not.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah. Twice.
And
11-12 against West Ham when we sacked Sven-Goran Eriksson.
Well, the other times were between the departure of Martin Allen and the start of Gary Mason's brief stay. He also helped to manage the first team for 3 games in the gap between Sven-Goran Eriksson, and the reappointment of Nigel Pearson. Do you know what makes me laugh? We actually won one of them games as well.
Right, guys, like target tonight, 60. So if we can hit 60, fantastic. I don't know how many's in there at the minute, but we didn't set one at the start of the show. We probably should have. Let's move on to the next bit of news. Abdul Fatawu, Sunderland. Leicester rejected €32 million, which was about £26 million. I don't know how reliable that source is, but he's got quite a lot of followers on X. Sunderland are looking for a winger in the window. He's saying that they all believe to be coming back in. Leicester are saying he's not for sale at any cost. So they're going to have to try the damn hardest. I'm going to stick £150 million on his head now to say that he ain't going nowhere. So, main player, loves the club. His passion in the statement showed. And, what's been your thoughts on the Fatawu one, Dan, with the rejection of their offer? I'd call it a low ball offer, to be fair, mate.
Well, yes, that's it. But again, it's like the Bilal situation. It's one of those clubs where you'd go,
sorry,
what's the point?
Go on, Steve.
What's the
sorry.
fair?
I heard a noise. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I'd accidentally audio called Reese by accident on Twitter. I was like, what's that noise? What's going on?
Unreal. Right. Carry on, Dan.
But yeah, like I say, regardless of whatever their offer is, and even if as a club we accept it, for Abdul, it'd be like, what's the point?
No, you can't be selling players like him.
No, well, exactly, and not to a club of Sunderland as well. It's like I say, the same as Bilal. Yes, go to a club that's worthwhile going, that are either going to be in Europe or has the potential to be there next season.
Yeah,
certainly, the top half clubs, not quite top 6, but certainly top 10. Otherwise, what's the point? Stay, play, get yourself back fully recovered.
Yeah.
Then next season, do what you want. If it's stay, great for us. If it's go, we'll get a decent wedge for you, and you've done you've done all you could for us to help us out. Other than that, there's not really sort of too much to say on it, unless they come in with something absolutely ridiculous that you just can't turn down. Which
what would you accept for him, Dan?
I don't.
What would you?
What would I accept? Realistically,
yeah. What would you? Accept
I wouldn't like to see us sell him for anything less than 50 million. Not purely
Agreed.
because of that's his paper value or whatever, but for us as a club, at some point you've got to go, we're getting rid of all experience that we've got, or anybody that brings fans through the door. Because if you lose a player like that, you're going to lose a lot of fans that come through the door to see him. And as well, whether it's pie in the sky thinking from us still or not of getting promoted, we need somebody there who is going to allow us to do that. Because you go 50 million for him, that sorts us out on the short term. But on the longer term, we do go up. It's 200 million, and that's the bit that you sometimes have to offset on what a player is worth to you as a club, not his paper value.
So still tied to it, still stuck to his radiator.
They're looking at a penalty at Leeds, aren't they?
That's no way a penalty. No way.
No. He's in a natural position.
Yeah, so Dan hits the nail on the head perfectly there, to be honest. Because what you say about bringing players, fans through the door. If you sell Fatawu, he's very much the bright spark of the club. If you let him go, then there's not much left. But what I saw earlier on when whoever tweeted it, for Fox retweeted it basically, that
it is 50 Khannouss.
Yeah, Leicester City say Abdul Fatawu is not for sale, but they'd look for a region of £45 million. And you're like, so he is for sale then for £45 million is what you're trying to say. So, but don't put a price on his head. Just say no, he's not going. He's under a long contract. He's just come back from injury. Keep him at the club, and if you don't go up next year, then great, sell him on from there. But he'll have a good season still.
Yeah, he will.
But I will just touch on the post he put on Instagram in regards to the fans and stuff.
Yeah.
My issue.
How is that a penalty? That's ridiculous.
Have they give it?
Yeah,
it's yeah.
Wow.
That's a joke.
That is no way a penalty.
Well, we know what we're doing after this chat, after all this chat in our group chat.
We all hate Leeds. We all hate Leeds.
Go on, carry on, Steve.
Yeah,
He's behind his back. Sorry.
We'll get the Leeds chat out of the way first, shall we?
Yeah. It's
a Leicester podcast, not a Leeds podcast.
Leeds are 1-0 up, right?
Am I the only one that's committed here to not be watching the fucking Leeds game? What the fuck is going on, guys? It's bullshit.
It's more disputing about this handball. His arm's behind his back, so I don't quite.
We're not on about Leeds. What about how it's been given?
Look at Pickford looking at his water bottle. For fuck's sake.
Anyway, go on, Steve.
Yeah,
otherwise, we'll be forever, won't we?
The point about Fatawu and his Instagram post. So I said yesterday on Twitter that my issue. I love Abdul. I get his point entirely. Like, the fans should be backing the players, and the fans that were there were chanting for a high portion of that game. The issue is, why should the fans give the players all of their energy when the players aren't giving that energy back? So yes, by all means, have an opinion and say yes, back the club, back the fans, don't leave early, which I get, I accept it. Maybe don't build at halftime if that's how you feel. But if you're not putting in the performance on the pitch and you've got 6 or 7 players that really don't give a shit, why are we being told not to voice our opinions when we're the ones that have travelled so far out of our way to come and support you guys? The least you can fucking do is put in a performance. Well, I don't expect us to win every week. I'm a realist. We're not going to win every week. We're Leicester City.
Yeah,
but
of course not.
I expect every single player to put in 100%. And if they're not, then they should be told otherwise. And it's not acceptable. So yes, Abdul, I love you. And, you bring a massive smile to my face. But sometimes maybe look at the inners of the club or the players you're with before having a go at the fans. Because, it's a very sort of slippery slope from saying the fans are an issue to I want to leave the club because it's the fans, when actually you look at the players that just aren't giving it their all on the pitch for each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Go back 5 years. We had players that would fight for this club, that would fight for each other, that would go to the trenches with each other, that would smash Ashley Williams because he's roughing up Riyad Mahrez on the wing. And now, what do we get? We get Fast running back with his arms up in his air because they've conceded a goal. You got Samare pottering around like he's on a fucking allotment. You got Harry Winks walking down the tunnel, not expecting to come and say hello to the fans or even cut the fans who help pay your fucking wages. Like, if you don't want to be here, tell the manager and fuck off. That's it.
Send a transfer request in. Do that, but they won't do that because they lose their loyalty bonus.
Exactly.
Happy birthday to Esteban Cambiasso and Robert Hoof, who Leicester City. Happy birthday this week. It's birthday today. So happy birthday.
I'd love to see back in the team. This was from I saw him on the train the other day. Do you know what? I don't care how old he is. I would happily have this man back in the team any day. Not the sandwich. Jerry Taggart back in the day, any time of the week.
Sandwich don't even make it to the top tier, Ross. I'm sorry, mate.
Honestly, Jerry Taggart, absolute down to earth bloke.
He went on the football pitch.
No, what I mean is, he was a nutter.
He would treat him mean to keep him keen, Ross, on the football pitch.
I tell you what, I guarantee if Jerry Taggart was playing now, he'd get sent off every week.
He'd go through a brick wall for the ball.
I mean, he choked out Dennis Wise. That's the funniest, one of my favourite parts of it.
Nigel Pearson would do all right as director of football. I keep saying this. You need somebody who knows the club at the back of their hand. Bring somebody in who knows the club. That's what we need.
It's not just knows the club. It's knows how a football club is run.
Yeah. Cambiasso won't be bad at it, to be fair. Someone's mentioned that.
Claude Puel would be the best at it. Claude Puel.
Yeah.
Claude Puel in front of Jack.
He knew his players, Claude Puel.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm outraged.
Maddison, Tielemans, P, Cadgar, Soonsley. All these players he brought through.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt a second.
Charisma.
My wife had a parcel delivered to her, and I thought, it's a birthday present for me. Like, it's quite, it's quite nice and stuff. No, it's a single fucking battery.
use that to charge some of the fucking players up.
Fucking hell, they need
I'll
more
tell
than
you now.
that.
Well, just one thing on Claude. Obviously, no matter what you thought of him, he got us for the worst, I would say, couple of months possible. You know what all happened, and yeah, he might not be the best of managers, but
he got very lucky that night because he was being sacked after that West Ham game.
He was going to be.
I know for a fact he was getting sacked after that West Ham game.
That for a fact.
Yeah, with what happened, it saved. And I agree. Fair play. He was the manager that we needed at the time, and he brought a lot of good players to the club as well.
He did.
He was very lucky.
Set the foundation for Rodgers.
I think. Do you know what though? Well, like I say,
more influential than Rodgers.
From what happened, obviously, considering 6 days after all that happened, to go out, get that team motivated to play
I don't think they needed motivation. Let's be honest. I
get that, but obviously you need.
If these players need a motivation, you might as well get Mr. Motivator in that changing room and sort them out. Get them on the feet.
Do you know what though? Right? Do you know what? Right. If these players came on, do you know what? Imagine if they came on. I'm not saying that they'll ever do it. If they ever came on fan channels and explained stuff, I don't think they ever will. But can you imagine?
Not allowed.
Can you imagine that?
Can I be on that podcast if it happens, please, Jack? Because
I'm on that.
Choice words
for the club, ever let us get players.
While Fast comes on your podcast, let me on because I'm ready to boo for 90 minutes. Bury me under Wout Fast so I can boo him for eternity, the little clown.
But do you know what? I'm going to reflect on what Steve said. I would say we go out, we watch Leicester week in and week out, whether we're at home, whether we're at the game.
Football's a business. Football's a business now. It's a commercial game. That's what it is.
It is. Do you know what? I wish we get. Do you know what? Steve Bracknell said it perfectly. The game's gone. Game's completely gone. If anyone who doesn't know Steve Bracknell, he's an proper throwback.
He's a very funny man.
The last one, when James Justin come off injured at the weekend. This Leeds move's now looking very much in doubt. We could have got between £5 and £7 million. How much we're going to miss that? But then this is decision again by the club for playing him when you knew he was advanced with Leeds. So why are you even playing him to even, most of these players who wouldn't play in a game, would they, if they're more closer to other clubs?
Isn't it only a dead leg he's got though?
Well, I don't know.
I'm sure I've seen, and certainly from the clash from it looked nothing more than a dead leg.
Well, if it's dead, chop it off. We're not going to miss it.
Like you need him in the fight, didn't it? Is what it did.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So I'd be surprised. I would just say Leeds saw how shit he is and didn't thought, fuck that, we won't bother anymore. I'm saying that we need a left back at the minute, so
But now, what's your thoughts on the Justin Reese?
I think if you get around 6-7 million for him, like 5, 6, 7 million for him, I think you sell him. I think
that's exactly how much we paid for him.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
We paid 9 million for him.
Difference maybe against Cheltenham off the bench potentially.
Well,
fuck him.
Like I was just saying. I mean, it's a position we need to strengthen. We clear as day need a left back. Luke Thomas ain't good enough. He's not good enough. He's not good enough to play the system. If you're going to play this system, when you've got overloading fullbacks, you need to be fast. You need to be technically good on the ball. You need to have precision. You need to have ability to, even score a goal. Because you see a lot of fullbacks scoring goals now. So you've got to be a certain type of fullback to play the system. And Luke Thomas ain't got those qualities, and neither does JJ. JJ's got the pace to get back, but he hasn't got the technical aspects to play that advanced role in the fullback in this system. Yeah. So until Marty gets his own players, and I'm serious here, even if we don't get promoted, if we don't get into the playoffs, I still want Marty in charge, because then he'll have a proper transfer window. Say, right, now you can get your own players in. Now you can bring in Louis Page full time. You can bring in Monga full time. You can bring in Aluko full time, and then you can go and sign players that fit your system. Because as it stands right now, we're not doing anything with this squad, and I think Marty knows that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I reflect on what Steve said. It don't feel like 2 games in. It feels like the game 40 of last season. And obviously, we've.
Do you know what it is with this squad? You sort of look at it, the mentality from last season. It sort of brought you for pre-season. we've got a new manager. Get behind him. The players are doing exactly that. We thought we'll see a completely different mentality change. You get to the season, and it's the same as last season. We're losing games again. The mentality of losing games, I thought had gone. To be fair, I thought I'd be enjoying a lot more wins than bloody loses.
Didn't we all?
We've had two defeats in a week. I'd only just got over the Huddersfield one. Little did I know Preston would be even worse. But this is the mentality of the players. This is where Marty's got to kick them into touch and say, if you don't want to be here, we'll get your transfer fee. See you later. We'll bring some players in. This is where Leicester's got to be looking at players, boys. They've got to be having up a list to each position. So
I've got an analogy for you. Like the first 3 games of the season for me was you had a dodgy curry one night, and the first 2 games were like a fart, but you almost shit yourself, but you didn't quite shit yourself, right? But Preston is when you think, okay, well, surely it's past now, and then you shit yourself. That's what it was. Like a couple of dodgy farts, and then you shit yourself. That's what it is.
What analogy that is.
A couple of wet ones, and then the proper what comes through.
Yeah.
It's like Will. I went to fart. I instead shit myself.
Yeah, and then what it is that your wife walks in and says, "What have you done?" And that's Charlton. You sort of have to explain yourself to your wife. Then you're like, "I've shit myself."
Can I just
know how bad it is yet? We've not opened up to see how bad it is, but we'll see on Saturday.
Can I just point out that we've not won an away game since January?
All right, Ross.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
And because people go.
Joy.
The thing is, people go and expect us to always win these stuff. We haven't won since we beat Tottenham, and we might go to London. Maybe London is a great grounds where we go and win, because obviously Charlton's in London on Saturday.
I don't know what Charlton record is, to be fair.
The last time we went to the Valley, we lost with Jan Kermagant scoring.
That's where we drew.
No, with 2013, we lost 2-1. We lost 2-1.
Fucking he scored, didn't he? Fucking Kermagant, lovely.
Yeah, Kermagant. Because I remember one of the years we won in the FA Cup. No, all away games. All away games since January. You tell me the last time we won an away game except Tottenham.
Pre-season.
Okay, take out pre-season. I said, all right, pre-season, all right. Even then, we still fucking lost 1.
Right. Who wants to pick up on this one? Real Madrid and Barcelona showed interest in Monga. They're sending their scouts over to watch him this season for a bit. Obviously, he can sign a professional contract, I believe, next year. So
I thought he'd signed one.
He has signed a pre-contract with the club. So come his 17th birthday, it will be a professional contract.
Yeah. So that's when you start getting fees for it. So what's your thoughts, Reece, on Barcelona and Real Madrid linking with Monga?
I think the sky's the limit for him. I really do. I think he can go all the way. And I'm going to put this out there. I think in a few years, well, not in a few years, but I think when he reaches the highs, he's going to be in contention to win a Ballon d'Or. I think he's that good. I think he's that good. Honestly, I'm not bullshitting you. I think he's that good.
Yeah.
Honestly, that kid has got so much ability and so much. It's such a natural gift. It comes natural to him. It's unbelievable. At 16 years old and he's tearing these defenders a new arsehole. He was doing it in the Premier League at 15. Tearing Forest and Ipswich players apart. But no, I think, like I said, the sky's the limit for him. I think he's got all the attributes to be a top player, and I think he is our outlet to PSR. I think it will be a big sale when we eventually sell him.
Isn't just on the chop. Like when you were 15 years old, what were you doing? I tell you what, I was in no fit state to be a professional footballer. Like,
absolutely not.
Most of us were wanking off, let alone being a footballer.
I tell you what I was doing at 15. I played in a semi-final. I played in the semi-final of the County Cup, and I snapped my cruise ship by falling over a ball. That's what I was doing at 15.
Do you know what I was doing? I was 15. I was on Bebo.
It was on what?
I was on Bebo, which was before Facebook became more popular. Now people don't know what Bebo is.
I was on MySpace.
God,
that's it.
I tell you what, just on the Charlton thing, right? This is a weird analogy. The last time we played Charlton away from home, yes, we lost 2-1. Do you know Kermagant was one of the goal scorers? Do you know who the other goal scorer was? Former Leicester player, centre back.
Wait, what game was
last time we played Charlton at the Valley?
Michael Morrison.
There you go. They were the goal scorers for Charlton, and it was in August as well. Just saying. Just pointing that out there.
Danny Drinkwater scored for us, didn't he?
He did, and the sending off from Matty James.
I remember it. Yeah.
And the referee was called Darren Deadman. Yeah, he is definitely is a dead man.
He was off the game with a red card.
He might not be dead. Let's not.
No, I'm not. That's actually his last name. He's a dead man. You know.
Yeah.
He's
not the Undertaker.
Right, boys. It's been a laugh. We've covered everything and anything, from Amiga and bloody everything like that, Bebo and bloody whatever everyone were doing.
Into a sock.
Yeah. Ross full of facts.
Just before we go, sorry, Jack, I'm gonna bring it back again, right? So this is very this is not football related. Have any of you fallen foul to the Face ID thing yet? When you go on
No.
It's the most depressing thing. I was speaking to my brother about this yesterday. It's the most depressing thing in the world, right? If you think, let's have a go, right? And then you have to look at your own face before you finish it. It's not happening. It's not.
You know what? The worst part is, Steve, honestly, it's absolutely horrendous. It's disgusting. I'll give it 2 stars. So, yeah, no.
It was a tough wank.
I found a website where you don't need your Face ID. I've done my digging.
I'm on Reddit like, let's go. Oh, shit.
Come on, let's go. Right.
Lads, if you want the DMs, let me know. That's it. And I'll send it.
Jack sending it there. Look. No worries. Thanks for having me on.
We'll have to get you back on again.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'm always on.
Cheers, mate.
See you later, Dan.
Ross, thanks for coming on. He's gone. I think we're all.
He's gone. He's finished. He's finished.
Steve, thanks for coming on, mate. I'll catch you Thursday.
Yeah. Have a good evening, lads.
Appreciate it.
See you later, Steve.
Reese, thanks for coming on, for filling in for Clibbo.
No problem. Bloody useless twat.
Clibbo can't be on tonight. He clearly sent a statement in to say,
I'm gonna go around his house and batter him now. For letting me down. So.
Yeah.
Pleasure, mate.
See you later. Right, that is it from me. Appreciate everyone coming in as always in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you know and you haven't subscribed already. Get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. Let us know your thoughts on Bilal El Khannouss, Abdul, Fatawu, Jeremy Monga. And yeah, that is it. Take care. Have a great rest of the night, wherever you're up to. Keep it the final whistle. Good night.